Dear students, welcome to Database Management System video lecture classes. This is Dr. K. Praveen Kumar, Assistant Professor, Department of IT. In this lecture video, we are going to discuss about tree schema architecture. Tree schema architecture. In the previous video, we have seen the basics of data models and their categories, schemas and instance, history of data models. In the coming classes, we are going to discuss about database independence, DBMS language, and so on. Tree schema architecture. Upon completion of this lecture video, you can be able to analyze the data models, schemes, and database systems, and variety of database systems architecture you are going to learn. The tree schema architecture describes how the data is presented, how the data is represented or viewed by the users in the database. And this architecture is also known as three-level architecture and is sometimes called as ANSI or SPARC, American National Standard Institute, Standard Planning and Requirement Committee architecture. So tree schema architecture divides the database into three levels to create the separation between the physical database and user applications. So here it is going to divide three levels. So in simple words, this architecture hides the details of physical storage from the user. The database administrator should be able to change the structure of database storage without affecting the user views. So what are those levels? External level, conceptual level, internal level, three levels. So the tree schema architecture, this is the tree schema architecture, and it is taken from the prescribed textbook. So in the top level, it is external level, and here the views are external views, and it can be used by the end users. Who are the end users? The people who are using your database. Final people are the end users. So and the second level is conceptual level, and here it is conceptual schema. And the lowest level is internal level. Internal level contains internal schema. Internal schema can be developed by its databases. These are all databases. And always remember, this symbol is database symbol. This symbol is database. Tree schema architecture mapping is used to transform the request and responses between the various database levels of architecture. Mapping is not good for small DBMS because it takes more time. And in external or conceptual mapping, it is necessary to transfer the request from external level to conceptual schema, external level to conceptual schema. And in conceptual level or internal mapping, DBMS transform the request from the conceptual level to internal level. So this is the highest level of data abstraction. What is that? External level or view level. It's a highest level of data abstraction. Data abstraction means hiding of data. You cannot show, you are not going to show the actual database, its schema and everything to the end users. You are hiding everything. That is called as data abstraction. An external or view level describes the actual view of data that is relevant to the particular user. And this level also provides different views of the same database for a specific user or group of users. An external view provides a powerful and flexible security mechanism by hiding the parts of the database from a particular user. Second level is conceptual level or logical level. In this, the conceptual level describes the structure of the whole database. This level acts as a middle layer. This level acts as a middle layer between the physical storage and user view. It explains what data to be stored in the database and what relationship exists among those data and what the data types are. There is only one conceptual schema per database, and database administrator and the programmers works at this level. And this level does not provide any access, or storage details, but concentrates on the relational model of the database. And the conceptual schema also includes features that specify the checks to retain integrity and consistency. So you can give all the constraints in this level. Internal or physical level, that is the lowest level of the one. So here the data abstraction is also lowest level. So if you enter into the data this level, you can see the database and you can check the description of all the database. You can check the metadata and everything. So it describes how the data is actually stored in the database and provides methods to access data from the database, like how you are retrieving the data, like select a star from employee table, right? Like that, you are going to retrieve it here. It allows viewing the physical representation of the database on the computer system. The interface between the conceptual schema and the internal schema identifies how an element in the conceptual schema is stored and how it may be accessed. So if there is any change in the internal or physical schema, it needs to be addressed to the interface between the conceptual and internal schema, but there is no need to change in the interface of the conceptual and external schema. It means that the changes in physical storage device such as hard disk and the files organized on storage devices are transparent to application programs and end users. So mapping between these views, the three levels of DBMS architecture does not exist independently of each other. There must be a correspondence between three levels, that is how they actually correspond with each other. DBMS is responsible for correspondence between three types of schemas. The correspondence is called mapping. So there are basically two types of mapping. One is conceptual or internal mapping, and external mapping or conceptual mapping. So conceptual or internal mapping. The conceptual internal mapping, it lies between conceptual level and internal level. Whatever happened in between these two levels, that is conceptual internal mapping. Its role is to define correspondence between the records and the fields of the conceptual level and files and the data structures of the internal level. External or conceptual mapping. The external or conceptual mapping lies between the external level and the conceptual level. Its role is to define the correspondence between a particular external and the conceptual view. So the following are the advantages of three schema architecture. These architectures make the database abstract. That is, you are going to hide the details of your database, and it is used to hide the details of how data is physically stored and in a computer system, and which makes it easier to use for users. The architecture allows each user to access the same database with a different customized views of data. This architecture enables database admin to change the storage structure of the database without affecting the users currently on the system. So yeah, we have learned about data models, their categories, history of data models, three schema architectures. Thank you.